This is the CBD in Futian district of Shenzhen. The tallest building of the city, which is also the second tallest building of all China, is located here. Two bus stops away is the ancestor temple of the Pan clan, who has lived in this village for over 5 centuries. This was a village bordering Hong Kong, whose villagers used to engage in oyster cultivating for centuries. In the center of this village, there is a 5-story building that looks distinctive from its surrounding. When it was built in the early 20th century, it was the tallest building in the village, and Hong Kong was visible from its top floor. Today, its height is even exceeded by the sky parking lot behind it. This type of building is called Diaolou and was once all over Shenzhen. Due to urbanization, most have been demolished. In this video, I'll show you some of the remaining Diaolou buildings in Shenzhen, whose stories would change your stereotype of the city.
Hello, I'm Yan Yan. I'm in Shenzhen, Guangdong province, in a small theme park. What is the theme of the park? It's Diaolou, a type of building that worked as both a shelter and a watchtower. There are 5 Diaolou buildings surrounding the small square. One behind me, one over there, one over here, and 2 outside the screen. When I first discovered this place, I was like, was it a war zone or something in history?
This park was just completed last year. So far, it's not even marked on the map. It took me some effort to find it. Why were 5 tall watchtowers built in such a small area? After reading the description, I had the answer.
This was the original status of this Diaolou over here, inside a village. It was founded collectively by the villagers and was built mainly for the kids in the village. Had the enemies breach into the village, the children and the teachers could go hiding inside the Diaolou. So it was not here originally and was moved here. I was wondering how it was achieved with such a tall building.
Can you imagine these Diaolou with the tallest building in their respective village? But today, they're surrounded by a forest of modern skyscrapers far taller than them. This area, called Songyuanxia, belonged to the Chen clan, a Hakka clan who migrated in the 18th century from Wuhua County of Meizhou in northeast Guangdong province. The ancestor temple of the Chen clan is just across the street. The Chen clan prospered in Shenzhen. Their population grew exponentially. They built many villages in Songyuanxia. During mid to late 19th century, many in this clan joined the wave of emigrating abroad to seek better life. Today, their clansmen are all over the world. The Songyuanxia area went through urban renewal program in 2011. Old villages were demolished and replaced by modern apartment buildings. To preserve the Diaolou, people moved them here by the ancestor temple of the Chen clan. These Diaolou built by the clansmen of the Chen clan incorporated Western-style design and decorations. That's because 4 of them were built by clansmen who returned from abroad. In the early 20th century, due to the Great Depression throughout the world and anti-Chinese riots in some countries, many overseas Chinese who emigrated from Shenzhen returned. The most splendid part of Diaolou is their roof. Usually, the Chinese-style Diaolou have double sloping roof, whereas the Western-style ones have flat roof and the patio on it. The wall of the patio could be creative. To avoid water accumulating in the patio during rainstorm, Western-style Diaolou all have gargoyles outside the patio, usually in the shape of fish. This Diaolou is a special one out of the 5. It has an attached house. The roof of this Diaolou is also special, with a Chinese-style house in the patio.
The ruin behind me was also a Diaolou, same as the other 4. But unlike the other 4 which were moved here, the Diaolou behind me has been here since day 1 in this park, which was a village. Unfortunately, it collapsed 11 years ago in a hurricane. The design of this park created a glass wall over there for visitors to figure out how this building looked like before.
The Diaolou Park brought a new culture and living experience to the neighborhood. I think we need more creative parks like this in our community. The only downside of this park is none of the Diaolou is open to public. Actually, during my first round search, I didn't find any Diaolou in Shenzhen open. But I never give up. After thorough research, I discovered a Diaolou in Dapeng Peninsula in East Shenzhen is quietly open. It was waiting for someone who's interested in Diaolou like me. Hello! I'm on the top floor of a Diaolou. I finally get to see what it looks like inside. It's very small. But still it's very interesting. I can see very far from here. Next to the Diaolou is the old house of the Zhong clan living in this village. Constructed in the Qing dynasty, this Diaolou was among the earliest ones in Shenzhen. It has a courtyard and an attached house. This used to be the site of the private school of the clan. When danger emerged, kids could be quickly evacuated to the Diaolou via this narrow door. When I walked to the back of this Diaolou, I realized that there's another Diaolou with a Cantonese-style gable hidden behind the tall one. They are not connected from interior. I walked around to look for its entrance and finally realized it's accessed from the attached house. The earliest Diaolou in Shenzhen dates back to the Ming Dynasty, and it's also located in Dapeng Peninsula. In the early 20th century, with the returning of overseas Chinese, Diaolou became a very trendy thing. Most Diaolou in Shenzhen were constructed during this period. Initially, Diaolou were built for defensive purpose, but with the returning of overseas Chinese, Diaolou started to have different forms and different purposes. In the previous video, I showed you a Diaolou in the southeast corner of Hakka Weilong house. The house was built in the 18th century, and the Diaolou was added in the early 20th century. Was it really necessary to build a Diaolou in this house? I don't think so, because the house already had 4 turrets, something like Diaolou. I believe the Diaolou was more for decoration purpose. Having the most trendy thing made this old house modern a century back. Like any big house, Diaolou became something to show off. For those who returned from overseas, constructing a tall and Western-style Diaolou was a symbol of their success abroad. This Hakka house was built in the 1930s by a wealthy Chinese residing in Malaysia for his favorite concubine. Anecdotes had it she didn't get along well with other women in the family and was sent back to China. Although the layout of the house is similar to the traditional Hakka wood house, the exterior decoration was full of Western elements. The traditional turrets in the corners of Hakka wood house were replaced by Diaolou. Obviously, the style fits better. This 8-story Diaolou is the tallest one in Shenzhen. It was also built in the early 20th century and was the treasury of a draft bank opened by Chinese returning from abroad. It's in the area that was one of the 4 largest markets in Shenzhen.
This place was one of the 4 largest markets in Shenzhen. Merchants would import trendy cloth from Hong Kong to be sold here. But after Shenzhen became a special economic zone, the old market was out of date and was abandoned.
This market was naturally formed with Hakka migrating to Shenzhen in the 18th century. Initially, residents would exchange goods by the river here on the 1st, 4th, 7th, 11th, 14th, 17th, 21st, 24th, and 27th day each month of lunar calendar. Gradually, this place became a permanent market and stores were opened. In the early 20th century, with the operating of the railway between Hong Kong and Guangzhou, this market, which was near one of the stops on the railway, became a big trading center of goods from Hong Kong. It was also during this time many overseas Chinese returned to their ancestral home in Shenzhen. With fortune made abroad, some started their business here. They built Diaolou buildings to store valuable goods, and their stores were opened on the 1st floor of the Diaolou. In order to preserve the Hakka heritage in Shenzhen, the city government recently started a renovation program to restore this market. Maybe soon, these Diaolou will be open to public as museums or other cultural sites. The urban renewal program of Shixia village was going on when I visited the village. Modern apartment buildings were being constructed. They should be pretty pricey considering they are so close to the CBD. Even so, the ancestral temple, the Diaolou, the folk religious temple, and the stories of 8 clans living harmoniously in this village for centuries are retained. Like the Diaolou Park and the old Hakka market, they are retained to dispute a common notion that Shenzhen was just an insignificant fishing village. On the internet, I found the sketches drawn by the designer of the Diaolou theme park. I especially love the keywords the designer listed here. Diaolou, Ancestor Temple, Clan, Overseas Chinese, Cantonese plus Hakka plus Western. I think these are not only tags for the Songyuanxia community, but also tags for Shenzhen. However, today few associate Shenzhen with these tags anymore. In next video, I'll visit two fortresses in Shenzhen built in 1394. One in Nanshan district while China's economic reform started, and the other one in Dapeng Peninsula. One fortress was the origin of Shenzhen's nickname Pengcheng. The other one was the site of government of Xin'an County that covered most of today's Shenzhen and the entire Hong Kong. I'm Yan Yan. I make videos about sites of interest in China and histories and stories behind them. Subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.